The wind screamed across the Antarctic plain, shredding the silence into shards of terror. Emma said, "The storm is here." The sky bruised black as snow spiraled, drowning the horizon in white fire. A crack in the ice split open like a wound, and Robert whispered, "Stay close." The colony huddled in terror, each penguin pressed tight as if flesh alone could defy the gale. The snow hammered down with claws, erasing shadows and names alike. Amelia cried, "Where's the chick?" Her voice tore into the roar, lost to the avalanche of sound. In that moment, the fragile law of survival snapped, a predator's shadow sliced across the chaos. A skua dove, eyes sharp as knives, its wings cutting the storm's breath. Emma screamed, "Not now!" Robert lunged forward, flinging his body into the storm wall, shielding Amelia and the tiny, shivering chick. The snow swallowed them, cold eating through feathers like knives through silk. The air was a grave, and still they fought to breathe. A family clung to one another, standing against the blizzard's merciless truth. The storm howled without mercy, sealing the horizon in endless white. Emma said, "Hold fast, we are not alone." Robert pressed forward, wings wide as shields, his breath ragged but unbroken. Amelia cried, "It burns, the cold burns." The chick whimpered, tiny sounds nearly lost. Shadows swirled above, predators circling, their wings like knives slicing the gale. The colony cried in unison, voices swallowed instantly by the wind. Emma said, "We must endure the night." Each heartbeat was a drumbeat of survival, echoing against the void. The snow cut deeper, slashing faces like shards of glass. Robert whispered, "I can't feel the ground." Emma pulled him forward, her feathers stiff with ice. Amelia said, "It's too strong." The chick gave a weak cry. The world shrank to the circle of their breaths, hot clouds stolen instantly by the gale. Around them, broken feathers scattered like torn flags. Above, the skua hovered, waiting, circling. Emma said, "We will not fall." A sudden crack split the ice. Robert shouted, "Move!" The colony panicked, sliding across frozen ground. Amelia stumbled, feathers slick with frost. Emma shoved her forward, wings spread against the storm. The chick cried, voice piercing through the white raw. The earth moaned like something alive, splitting further, pulling darkness into its teeth. Emma said, "Stay together." But the storm wanted to break them apart. The storm consumed sound, light, and warmth. Emma said, "Do not let go." Robert's body trembled but held steady, pressing his chest into hers. Amelia whispered, "It hurts." The chick whimpered once, then fell silent. Emma's eyes blazed with desperate fire, refusing silence's answer. "You will breathe," she vowed into the void. The blizzard wailed louder, as if mocking. The colony vanished behind veils of white. Survival was a whisper, and it balanced on the edge of breaking. The storm loosened its grip as dawn cracked pale against the endless white. Emma said, "We survived the night." Her voice trembled, fragile but fierce. Robert leaned heavily, feathers caked with ice, his chest rising in shallow gasps. Amelia whispered, "The chick is still warm." Tiny breaths fogged against her feathers, fragile life clinging to frost-bitten air. Above, the sky bled gray, not kind but less cruel, a reprieve that felt stolen rather than earned. Around them, the colony stirred, broken wings and frost-bitten faces lifted toward the faint glow. Emma pressed her beak into the chick, eyes fierce with a mother's vow. Robert said, "We hold on because of her." Amelia's small frame shook, but she pressed close, eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. This was not safety. It was a pause, a fragile heartbeat between storms. The cold still prowled, hunger still waited, predators still circled. Yet, in that trembling warmth of feathers, hope survived. The air carried no mercy, only silence broken by shallow breaths. Robert said, "The ground is harder than stone." His body trembled with weariness. Emma guided Amelia forward, her wings wrapping the chick like fragile armor. Amelia whispered, I thought we would be taken. Her eyes reflected the memory of the skuas' shadow. Robert groaned. We can't rest too long. Each second felt stolen from the jaws of fate. Around them, snow crusted into brittle layers, hiding fractures waiting to swallow them. The chick stirred, small head pressing outward, seeking warmth. Emma said, "She will not be lost." The colony shuffled, each family cocooned in their own desperate circles, feathers pressed into trembling fortresses. Hunger carved hollows in their faces, but endurance burned bright in their eyes. The fragile center was not the storm, not the cold, but the tiny heartbeat pressed beneath Emma's feathers. It was life, raw and defiant, daring to endure. The colony began to move, each step carving into the snow like wounds. Emma said, "Stay with me." She pressed forward, carrying the chick against her chest. Amelia stumbled, feathers stiff, but Robert guided her with weary strength. His voice rasped, "Don't fall behind." The chick whimpered, its fragile sound lost in the endless white. Around them, dozens of penguins shuffled together, their chorus a low, desperate hum. The wind carried fragments of cries, reminders of those who had not endured. Amelia whispered, "Why do they leave us behind?" Her eyes burned with fear. Emma pressed her wing against her, whispering, "Because they must." Still, her body shielded both Amelia and the chick, as though daring the cold to take her first. Robert said, "Every step is survival." The Antarctic plain stretched endless, but the family pressed onward, hope clutched in trembling wings. The horizon burned faint gold as the sun edged low, a fleeting warmth swallowed quickly by the wind. Robert said, "It looks close, but it is endless." His breath rose heavy, his body stiff with cold. Emma pressed her feathers against the chick, listening to the tiny, steady heartbeat. Amelia whispered, "She is strong." Her eyes widened with fragile awe. Emma said, "She will outlive the storm." The colony slowed, huddled into tighter knots, bodies leaning against one another as shields. Above, faint shadows traced the sky, skuas circling, patient as fate. Robert muttered, "They wait for weakness." Emma stood taller, her body trembling, but her gaze burning into the horizon. Amelia pressed closer, seeking both warmth and courage. The Antarctic light glowed like fire trapped in ice, beautiful, fragile and fleeting. For now, their family endured, bound by feathers, breath, and desperate will. Night closed again, heavier than before, as the wind sharpened into knives. Emma whispered, "Do not let fear speak." She tucked the chick deeper, wrapping her body like a wall. Robert leaned close, muttering, "If we stand together, we endure." His eyes half closed, still burned with resolve. Amelia said, "The dark is worse than the storm." Her voice shook as she pressed against Emma's side. Around them, the colony vanished into shadows, only faint shapes trembling in the gale. The chick stirred once, its cry piercing the dark like a fragile beacon. Emma said, "She is still with us." The words burned with defiance, each syllable a spark against the void. The storm's roar built again, a cruel reminder of what hunted them, but their circle of warmth held, fragile, fleeting, yet unbroken. The day broke without warmth, only a sharp wind gnawing at every breath. Emma said, "We must move before hunger finds us." Her feathers clung heavy with frost, every step stiff with exhaustion. Robert pressed forward, his chest heaving as the cold hollowed him from within. Amelia whispered, "I can't feel my wings." She stumbled, but Emma caught her, steadying her against the storm's cruel push. The whimpered, its frail cry like glass about to shatter. Above them, the sky seethed with skuas circling, shadows cutting patterns of menace across the snow. Robert muttered, "They wait for the weakest." The colony spread thinner, bodies staggering apart, survival unraveling under invisible knives. Emma pressed her beak to the chick, whispering a vow against the gale, not her. The land itself turned traitor, the snow crust splitting, sharp cracks echoing like a warning drum. Hunger pressed in from within, predators from above, and the storm from all sides. The snow hardened into jagged ridges, each step slicing like glass beneath their feet. Robert said, "The ice once is broken." His legs shook, but he pressed on. Emma guided Amelia forward, her body arched protectively around the chick. Amelia whispered, "I hear the wings above us." The air was laced with the sound of predators, circling, waiting. The chick pressed deeper into feathers, tiny heartbeat racing. Emma muttered, "Stay hidden, little one." The colony faltered, gaps widening as the weak fell behind. A cry split the air, sharp and final, as one family was taken in a sudden strike. Amelia gasped, "They are gone." Robert clenched his wings, voice ragged, "We keep moving." Every sound was sharper, every shadow heavier, every breath a stolen moment from the jaws of fate. The storm thickened, turning the world into a spinning cage of white. Emma said, "Hold to me." She braced her body into the wind, wrapping herself around Amelia and the chick. Robert staggered, his wings shaking, but he forced his body against the gale. Amelia cried, "I can't see them anymore." Her voice cracked as shapes of the colony disappeared into the blur. Overhead the skuas screamed, their shrill calls tearing through the roar. Robert shouted, "They strike when we are blind." A shadow cut through the storm, wings slashing down, only to veer away as Emma lunged to shield the chick. The chick whimpered once, buried deeper, its small frame quivering like a fragile ember. Emma said, "Not while I breathe." The air stank of fear and ice, every second threatening to collapse into silence. The ice cracked beneath their claws, jagged lines spreading like lightning through the ground. Robert yelled, "Move fast!" His voice carried panic for the first time. Amelia stumbled, nearly slipping into a widening fracture, but Emma dragged her back with furious strength. The chick gave a piercing cry, echoing the earth's own shudder. Emma said, "Stay together." Around them, the colony scattered, each family leaping across splits, desperate not to be swallowed whole. The skuas shrieked louder, wings cutting closer as chaos opened cracks in their defense. Amelia sobbed, "I can't." Her feathers shook, eyes wide with terror. Robert pressed into her side, forcing her forward, voice raw. "You must." The ground moaned as if alive, breaking beneath their very survival. Emma pressed her body tight around the chick, eyes blazing against the ruin. The colony shrank to shadows, torn apart by storm, predators, and breaking ice. Emma whispered, "We are not finished." Her voice cracked but burned with resolve. Robert's feathers rattled, his breath uneven, yet his eyes still locked forward. Amelia pressed against Emma, whispering, "I am afraid." Emma bent low, murmuring, "Fear means we are alive." The chick stirred, its small cry rising into the night, fragile yet unbroken. The storm clawed harder, its breath filled with ice knives. Robert shouted, "We endure because we must." His chest rose against the weight of the gale. Emma closed her eyes for one heartbeat, her body trembling before forcing them open again. Around them, the white world devoured sound, sight, and hope. Yet within their small circle of wings and breath, life clung stubbornly, defying the end that pressed closer with every step. The storm softened, but its silence was not mercy, only the pause before revelation. Emma said, "Something moves beneath us." Her eyes cut across the ice. Robert listened, chest heaving, then whispered, "The ground speaks." Cracks spread faintly, not from the storm, but from the groaning of hidden water. Amelia whispered, "It feels alive." The chick pressed harder into Emma's warmth, its small body trembling. Then came the first shadow, not from above, but beneath. A dark shape sliding through the water under the ice, swift and patient. Robert muttered, "It hunts below." The colony staggered, their cries thin, uncertain, as if they too had realized they were not only prey to the storm. Emma whispered fiercely, "We must move faster." The skuas screamed overhead, but for the first time they weren't the true threat. The ice betrayed them, hiding killers that had waited in silence. Amelia cried, "They come from under the world." The water below churned with unseen menace. Emma said, "The ice is thinner than we believed." Robert pressed close, his voice rough. "They wait for us to stumble." A sudden rush broke the silence. A sleek form striking against the ice from beneath, the sound like thunder splitting the world. Amelia screamed, "It's breaking!" The chick whimpered, voice muffled into Emma's chest. Another shadow darted, faster, closer. The colony cried in chaos, wings slapping the ground, feathers scattering. Robert shouted, "Not the air, not the cold, the water itself!" Emma's eyes burned, her body tense as she guided Amelia away from a widening crack. Overhead, skuas shrieked in frustration, their feast stolen by predators below. The Antarctic plain revealed its treachery. It was not only battlefield, but trap. The surface splintered with a deafening crack, shards flying as water burst upward. Emma shouted, "Run!" Robert shoved Amelia forward, his wings spread wide against the spray. The chick cried sharply, voice swallowed by chaos. A predator's head surfaced for an instant, sleek, black, eyes glinting with merciless hunger. Amelia gasped. They rise from the dark. The colony scattered in panic, bodies crashing into one another, the ice moaning beneath their weight. Robert growled, "It is not only the storm." Emma pushed against the gale, guiding Amelia as her body shielded the chick. Another strike shook the ground, the world trembling under a hidden war. The true danger was no longer the sky nor the cold, but the ancient hunger swimming beneath the surface. The skuas circled above, frustrated shrieks echoing, their hunt stolen by killers of the deep. Emma whispered, "The sky and the sea both hunger for us." Robert steadied his breath, forcing Amelia across another crack. The chick whimpered, body trembling but alive. Amelia said, "We cannot fight both." Her eyes were wide with terror. Emma pressed closer, her voice burning, "We endure all." The ground trembled as another predator struck beneath, splintering the surface into new fractures. Robert muttered, "Even the ice betrays us." The colony huddled tighter, feathers slick with frost and fear, caught between enemies above and below. The Antarctic world revealed its truth. Not one predator, not one storm, but survival itself twisting into endless traps. Silence fell for a heartbeat, broken only by the hiss of wind and the moan of shifting ice. Emma whispered, "The storm was never our enemy." Robert's feathers bristled, his gaze fixed on the water below. Amelia muttered, "It is the world itself." The chick gave a faint cry, fragile against the weight of revelation. Emma pressed her beak to its head, whispering, "You are why we fight." The colony shivered in unison, wings trembling, their eyes reflecting both terror and defiance. Shadows shifted under the ice again, swift, hungry, inevitable. Above, skuas circled. Around them, cold pressed harder. Emma said, "We endure, because to stop is to vanish." The Antarctic revealed its hidden truth. Nature was not cruel, not kind, only absolute. The world erupted as the ice shattered beneath their claws. Emma shouted, "Run now!" Her voice cut sharp, desperate, as the chick whimpered beneath her feathers. Robert lunged forward, wings spread, his breath torn into fragments by the gale. Amelia screamed, "They are rising!" The black form of a predator surged from below, striking upward, its sleek body breaking ice like glass. The colony shrieked, scattering in blind panic, feathers and cries shredding into the storm. Emma pressed the chick closer, whispering, "I will not give you to the dark." Robert snarled, "We fight with what we have." His eyes burned, his body braced against the predator's shadow. Amelia stumbled, fear blazing in her wide eyes, but Emma dragged her forward. The storm raged, predators circled, and beneath the surface hunger hammered at the ice again. Their battle was not one of claws or beaks, but of refusing to fall, refusing to vanish. A predator burst through the ice with brutal force, water exploding into the frozen air. Emma screamed, "Hold!" She threw her body over the chick, her wings stretched wide. Robert lunged at Amelia, dragging her away from the spray. The predator's teeth flashed, jaws slamming shut where she had stood moments before. Amelia cried, "It almost had me." Her feathers slicked with icy water, eyes wild with fear. Robert shouted, "Stay with me, or you are lost." The colony screamed louder, their cries mixing into a storm of terror. Emma pressed her beak against the chick, whispering, "Not today." Another strike shook the ground, cracks racing outward. The world trembled with fury, a battlefield between survival and extinction. Their hearts pounded like drums, each beat a defiance against inevitable loss. The predator vanished below again, but the water beneath them boiled with its fury. Robert gasped, "It waits for weakness." His feathers rattled, his body trembling. Amelia whispered, "I cannot run anymore." Her voice cracked, tears of fear in her eyes. Emma growled, "Then lean on me." She pressed her body into Amelia's, shielding the chick between them both. The colony surged past in chaos, some leaping across cracks, others swallowed by the collapsing ice. Robert snarled, "Move or die." He pushed Amelia forward, each step a desperate gamble. The predator's shadow swirled beneath the ice again, closer, sharper. Emma's breath tore into fragments as she whispered, "We endure, little one." The chick gave a frail cry, its tiny voice trembling but unbroken, a spark against the endless dark. The ground split open as the predator struck again, sending shards of ice flying like blades. Emma roared, "Jump!" She pushed Amelia across a crack. The chick pressed so tight against her that its cries were muffled into silence. Robert leapt after them, his claws scraping against jagged edges. Amelia screamed, "I cannot," but her body carried her through. The predator's body slammed upward, jaws snapping closed just beneath them. The sound echoed like thunder rolling through the storm. Emma said, "Not while I still breathe." Her feathers shook, her chest heaved, but her eyes burned with defiance. Robert shouted, "We will not fall here." The colony's cries rose, a chorus of fear and survival, a symphony of desperation. The Antarctic plain became a battlefield of breaking ice, screaming wings, and the merciless hunger of the deep. The storm roared, the ice fractured, and predators circled above and below. Emma pressed the chick tighter, whispering, "You will live." Her voice cracked but burned with fire. Robert staggered forward, his chest heaving, feathers ragged. Amelia sobbed, "We cannot escape them." Her body trembled, but her eyes stayed locked on Emma's. Robert growled, "We fight with every breath left." The predator's shadow cut beneath their claws again, circling for another strike. The skuas screamed overhead, their shadows darting across the storm's pale light. Emma's body shook with exhaustion, but her eyes blazed like fire frozen into ice. She whispered fiercely, "We endure because we must." The chick gave a weak cry, alive against all odds, defiant against a world that demanded silence. The climax tore through them, life, death, and survival locked in one final heartbeat. The storm broke suddenly, leaving silence so heavy it pressed into their feathers. Emma whispered, "It is over." Her breath steamed faintly against the dawn. Robert stood trembling, his wings ragged, his chest rising in shallow gasps. Amelia whispered, "I hear nothing." The chick stirred weakly, a fragile cry cutting the quiet. The colony lay scattered, fewer voices than before, fewer shadows against the snow. Emma pressed her beak into the chick, murmuring, "You are still here." Robert said, "We lost too many." His eyes carried grief, but his body remained upright, braced against despair. Amelia pressed against Emma, whispering, "Then we hold tighter." The world was not merciful. It had carved away the weak, the unlucky, the unshielded. Yet in this silence, survival still breathed, trembling but unbroken. The Antarctic had shown its truth. There is no kindness, no cruelty, only what endures. The sky stretched pale, empty of predators, empty of mercy. Robert said, "The storm has taken what it wanted." His voice cracked but carried weight. Emma shifted, wings curled around the chick, pressing warmth into its fragile body. Amelia whispered, "Why not us?" Her eyes were wide, searching for meaning in the stillness. Emma murmured, Because we still stand. The colony moved slowly, broken lines drifting across the ice, each step carrying the silence of those left behind. Robert's body shook, his feathers stiff, but he pressed forward anyway. The chick gave a weak sound, more breath than cry, but alive. Amelia said, "She fights harder than all of us." Emma's gaze burned with fierce resolve as she whispered, "Then she will live." The world remained cold, but hope glowed faintly in the breath of those who endured. The cracks in the ice lay quiet, as though predators had vanished with the storm, but the memory of their hunger lingered. Robert muttered, "They wait for another day." His feathers shook with exhaustion. Emma pressed closer to the chick, whispering, "But not this one." Amelia leaned into her, eyes still wet, and whispered, "I was certain we would be lost." Emma bent her head, her voice steady, "We endure because we must." The colony gathered slowly, tighter now, wings brushing, breaths mingling. Robert sighed. "Those who remain carry the weight of all we lost." His gaze drifted across empty spaces in the snow. The chick stirred, its cry thin but defiant. Emma's eyes burned, her feathers trembling, as she whispered, "Her voice will not be silenced." Nature had spoken, but against its finality, the family stood unbroken. The horizon glowed faint gold, though the air stayed sharp with ice. Amelia whispered, "It is beautiful." Her voice carried wonder and sorrow together. Robert said, "It does not forgive us." His feathers were heavy, but his stance remained steady. Emma looked into the distance, pressing her body tight around the chick. She whispered, "But it reminds us why we fight." The colony raised their heads, eyes reflecting the glow, their breaths rising like faint smoke against the cold. Robert muttered, "We walk forward carrying their silence." Amelia pressed into Emma, whispering, "We carry more than silence." The chick stirred, tiny sound reaching into the wind. Emma said, "We carry life." The Antarctic light stretched thin across the plain, not mercy, not grace, but inevitability. And in that inevitability, endurance became its own kind of triumph. The night fell again, but quieter. The storm, a memory carved into their bodies. Emma whispered, "We are still here." Her feathers wrapped around the chick, whose faint cry echoed like fragile defiance. Robert leaned close, muttering, "We paid for this breath." His chest rose and fell heavy, but his eyes remained fixed forward. Amelia whispered, "I am afraid of the next storm." Emma pressed her beak into the chick, murmuring, "Then fear with me, but do not stop." The colony sank into silence, their shape small against the endless dark. The Antarctic pressed down with cold indifference, but the circle of breath and warmth endured. Emma whispered, "As long as she cries, we endure." The wind howled faintly, not as fury, but as reminder. Life was fragile, survival temporary, yet in this moment they lived, and that was everything. The Antarctic night stretched eternal, a black ocean of silence. Emma whispered, "The storm is memory now." Her feathers trembled, but the chick stirred weakly against her chest, a fragile sound defying the void. Robert's body leaned heavy, his chest rising slowly, eyes carved with grief and fire. Amelia whispered, "I still hear their cries." The colony's faint shadows pressed together, smaller than before, their breaths pale against the dark. Emma pressed her beak into the chick, murmuring, "She is why we remain." Robert muttered, "Not strength, not luck, only refusal." The silence deepened, carrying ghosts of the fallen, but within that silence, the heartbeat of the chick spoke louder. Amelia pressed close, whispering, "We will not forget them." Emma's voice burned, "We carry them in every step." The world remained indifferent, yet life still clung with ragged defiance. The dawn returned pale and cold, streaks of pink brushed faintly across the horizon. Emma whispered, "Light still comes." The chick stirred, its frail cry piercing the frozen air. Robert sighed, "We walk into another day." His feathers heavy, but his steps steady. Amelia whispered, "I dreamed we would vanish." Her eyes carried both fear and wonder. Emma pressed her wing tighter, murmuring, "But we remain." The colony shuffled forward, each step slow, deliberate, carrying both weight and hope. Above, the sky remained empty of predators, the storm's scars still etched across the ice. Robert muttered, "This land takes and takes, yet we endure." The silence now felt like space for breath, not only for grief. The chick's cry echoed faintly again, fragile but fierce, the echo of survival itself. Emma said, "Her voice is the proof that we are not gone." The wind whispered low, "No longer claws, only reminder." Robert said, "The world waits to test us again." His voice steady, despite fatigue. Emma pressed her feathers around the chick, murmuring, "And we will answer." Amelia whispered, "I feel them near us." Her eyes searched the horizon, haunted by memory of those lost. Wait. The colony walked in silence, smaller, tighter, wings brushing like frail shields. The cracks in the ice glimmered faintly, scars of the battle beneath. Emma's gaze sharpened, her voice low but burning, "She must carry us forward." The chick stirred, its cry thin yet piercing, echoing against the hollow plain. Robert sighed, "Her sound is stronger than the silence." Amelia whispered, "It feels like hope." The Antarctic remained vast and merciless, yet the family's breath rose into it, fragile smoke against endless sky. The horizon glowed faint gold again, fragile light cutting into cold shadows. Emma whispered, "See how it returns." The chick shifted, its cry sharp, alive. Robert said, "The storm could not take her." His feathers rattled, but his eyes burned with pride. Amelia pressed closer, murmuring, her voice is louder than the silence. The colony slowed, gathering tightly, their breaths misting together in the frigid air. Emma said, "She carries us all." Robert muttered, "She is tomorrow." The Antarctic spread infinite, harsh, eternal, but for this fragile moment it bent to witness survival. Amelia whispered, "We endure because she breathes." The chick stirred again, a trembling cry rising like defiance against every predator, every storm, every fracture of the world. Emma pressed her beak to its head, whispering, "She is the echo that remains." The night returned, darker than before, stars scattering across the frozen sky. Silence hung heavy, but the chick's faint cry pierced it again. Emma whispered, "Her sound will outlast us." Robert's body sagged, but his gaze stayed sharp, murmuring, "The storm will come again, but so will she." Amelia pressed her feathers against Emma, whispering, "Then we are not lost." The colony faded into shadows, their shapes etched against the endless plain. Emma bent low, her voice trembling but unbroken. Her voice will be remembered. The Antarctic gave no answer, its silence eternal, but within that silence the cry rose again, fragile, piercing, unforgettable. The final truth was not survival itself, but the echo of life, the refusal to vanish without a sound. Emma whispered, "She breathes, and so we endure." The world remained absolute, but in that cry, eternity listened.